topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hi, welcome to Learning to Dance in the Rain. I am Shelby Wagner, your host for the show, and we talk about life issues and with a positive mindset. And my guests and I will provide insights and guidance and meaningful conversations to help you navigate whatever storms you're going through. Join me today as we discuss issues, and the number, if you have a question, is 561-623-9429. I'd be happy to see you here with me. I'm very happy to welcome my friend Bonita Bell-Andersen. She's a financial planner, and she's has started her host of show, Ask Good Questions. And that, I think, is a good title to that. So here, welcome, Bonita. How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. You've been a little busy lately?
Yeah. I actually, it's actually because of Shelby that I'm doing my own. It's her fault that I'm doing my own podcast, because I've been talking about it for a long time, and so all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've got to do all this organization, and I'm loving it, but it's like, whoa, it's like step up, girl.
Step up, girl. Yeah. Do you plan to have guests on your show?
I do. You are, in fact, going to be a guest on my show in January.
That's right, I am. But I just wondered, because I have found several of my guests through a couple different programs, so I can send those to you, radio.
That would be great. That would be great. In fact, I had been thinking about asking you about that.
Yeah, okay, very good. I'm glad to help you with whatever I can. I guess we want to talk, though, about your other endeavor. You're publishing finally of your book, and the book is called Suddenly Single, or
Money Mindset and the Suddenly Single.
Money Mindset and the Suddenly Single. Wow. Would like to tell us how you got to that?
Yeah, well, it's actually for anyone that has found themselves, surprise, getting divorced or having lost their spouse. I went through, the reason that I wrote this book is because I went through a terrible divorce about, 25 years ago, something like that. It's been many years ago. And I didn't have anyone like me. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I finally picked myself up and said, dang it, I'm not going to let this destroy my life. I had 3 daughters. All 4 of us were having a terrible time because of my husband actually had an affair and walked away from our family. And so I knew I needed to find a way to rebuild my life and basically reinvent who I was. And, it was just terrible. It was a terrible time to just be, feeling completely lost. So the book is about a lot of things that I've learned and how I've picked myself up and moved on and where I am now and the things that I want people to avoid. Right?
Right. Well, I guess I kind of had went through similar problem with after my husband died. A couple of years after he died, because I got involved with scammers and lost my money that way. But I wish I had a little I wish I had known you then.
I know. It's like, you can't change the past. You can learn from it and you can move forward. And isn't it true that a lot of the crazy things that we go through in life, you can see later that you're there to help other people and you're there to serve other people because of what you went through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Dang it. I just, but that's the way life works.
right.
That's the way life works.
That's right. That's right. So, well, what if I was a newly single person and I contacted you? What would be the first thing that we would talk about?
Well, I
Or
would
where
want
we
to I would want to find out who that person was. And then I would like delve into some of the, basically what I'm going to share with you is like some of the big topics in the book, because you have to step back and go, what do I need to learn? And a lot of times the reason that my podcast is called Ask Good Questions is because a lot of the big mistakes that I made in the past were because I didn't know what the right questions were to ask. I didn't know what the things were that I needed to avoid. So a lot of times I'm looking at what's that person's perception of money? How did they grow up? What is money evil? Is it a tool? How did they grow up and what do they think? And so I'll talk to people about their money mindset and where they came from. And did you hear from your dad that money it doesn't grow on trees? And what did you learn when you were growing up? So I'll tell people that what I'm going to do is I want to instill in them 7 key principles about sound money management. I'm going to say, we're starting from now and we're going to move forward. And here's some of the things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about what the different investing styles are out there. I didn't have any idea about this. And until you really get educated on what's going on out in the world and you can see it, then, a lot of times you're just oblivious to it. There's big mistakes that people make that I call the ineffective investor loop. And it's actually, you buy programs. This is things I did. I bought programs hoping that it was going to be the magic bullet that was going to help me manage my money. Well, all I did was manage to lose a lot of money because I made some very stupid mistakes. And so I call that the ineffective investor loop, and I'll teach people about that. And really, this is all about really making you aware of how you think about investing as a single person. That a lot of times I can think of different specific situations where somebody would say, oh, you need to go talk to Bonnie. And somebody else, this gal will come in and her husband has always done all the money management. She's never done anything. And she's always gone, oh, he just takes care of it. Well, now that person isn't there. And so it's a big realization to realize that now you're the one that's responsible and you have to move forward. And so a lot of times people are also asking me about, how do I select an advisor that I can trust?
Mm-hmm.
That's a biggie. And really in the end, it's all about how to move forward successfully and rebuild your life. And you have to go through that process of realizing that you've stepped through a door to a new segment of your life. And so you want to be healthy and happy. And how do you do that? So those are the big topics that the book covers, and that when I'm talking to somebody, I'm kind of looking for those things.
What if you're so old you forgot? what we're talking about money. When you said money doesn't go in trees, yeah. Well, I remembered my.
Do you remember your parents saying that?
That yes.
Or what? Or what do you think I'm made of? Money. You know.
Right. Right. Um,
So you have to realize that you need to leave. Those are negative perceptions about money. You have to leave that in the past, and you have to go, okay, money is a tool for me to learn how to manage. And so you have to, start rebuilding your whole money mindset.
Do you advocate the use of a program on technology in the internet, like
Not really. I mean, we're a group of registered investment advisors, and we teach people about global diversification. And so my experience with people that had like programs to teach you how to deal with green buttons and red buttons and all these, no. So what we do is we teach people how to prudently manage. And along the way, there's a lot that has to do that we teach and that I, talk to people about making them aware of their own behavior around money. And because a lot of times it's our own behavior that gets in the way.
When you
see the wheels turning.
I'm thinking, how personal do I get here?
I think people love it when they get personal. So yeah, what you've got a question, I think, from your own life.
Yeah, well, I something you said now, and now I'm not sure that I remember what it was, but thinking about it here, something that you said. Well, I think it's gone.
While you're thinking of it, let me read just a little snippet from the introduction of the book. So here's what this little snippet says. In the aftermath of life's most tumultuous events, be it a messy divorce, the loss of a spouse, maybe, the book is not about inheritance, but a lot of times people receive an inheritance and they go, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? Many find themselves at a crossroads holding some segment of money that they've never had before, with a mix of bewilderment and opportunity. It's a juncture that's never easy. It's fraught with emotional and financial upheaval that demands not just resilience, but a profound transformation in how we perceive and manage money. You've survived, right? You have survived going through whatever it is you've gone through, and it's crucial to know that you're not alone. You can find those that will help support you. Now the journey to secure your future begins. Now you need to look forward and say, okay, I want to make the rest of my life the best part of my life. How do I do that? So that's just a little snippet from the introduction.
That's good. Yeah, you said something earlier. I kind of putting the two together, but about spending a lot of money making mistakes on different programs. Well, my son says, "Oh, Mom, you're always looking at different ways of making money. Starting, I have your own business, whatever." And so I have spent a lot of money at trying to make money. And I said, I am not a businesswoman for some reason. As that's a negative thing.
But look at you, non-businesswoman. Look at you with your podcast and your book and everything else.
Yeah. That's very, that's just one of two parts of it right now. I don't want to say any more, I guess, about it, but yeah, I do. That's an example of me. And but I haven't made a lot of money on any of it yet. I guess that's enough to say. Uh, let's see. So, would you say that the important thing for a newly single woman um, to understand is to start learning to manage that money, find someone that can help her, or
Yeah,
um,
I think before I characterized myself at when the whole thing with the, losing my husband to another woman, and there was just a whole bunch of things that I would have never imagined could happen. And I remember saying to myself, dang it, I'm not going to let this destroy me. And I realized before you think about how am I going to manage money, you have to really get settled in who you are. And it was a process. And I actually went to a program that was one of the influencers out there named Harv Eker, and it was something called Life Directions. And I realized I had to rebuild my self-concept. Who was I? I'm not the wife of that guy anymore. And so I had to rebuild my self-concept. I had to reinvent, what do I want my future to look like? All these different things. And so that Life Directions class really helped. That was before thinking about money and how I'm going to manage things by myself, so yeah, I think that's what gals have to start with, is really getting settled with who they are.
right. And you're going through a grieving process and
Yeah,
feel you're really bad and all of this, but you really have to press forward and start thinking about the money and what my husband had. Well, he had gone into a meeting with two bosses, and they wanted him to do some things he didn't want to do. And they said, well, you're going to have to do them. And he says, well, no, I don't. I have another option. I'm going to retire. So he comes home from work one day and tells me he retired. We hadn't talked about it or anything. So there was a life change. But he
yeah,
made a decision. He told me that he had the option of taking less money back then. This was 2009, 25, 30 years ago. So he took less money so that I would continue to have some
good.
money when he died. Now, silly girl that I was, I would have told him if he had asked me, I would have told him, no, I think we need the money now. Because I was always worried about paying the bills at the moment, rather than at the
Sure.
future. That was a mindset, wasn't it? And so I would have told him no, and all those years that we were before, we had 30 years almost of retirement there. And I kept wondering, how much am I going to have, after he's gone? And so I was quite afraid when he died, all of a sudden there in the hospital and all these things. What do you mean he's gone?
Right.
What am I going to do? I had a mortgage. We had retired to Tennessee, and golly, I was really stumped at that point. But oh man, when I got my first check, got it all done. Oh man, I thought, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
He absolutely did the right thing for me. And I really appreciate it. Even though all those years before, I always wondered, well, what we do that for? We really need the money now. But no, you really do need, um, you need to talk to
You need to
someone.
look at the future. You need to look. There's
Right.
short term. Yeah. I mean, like you were looking at the short term fix,
Mm-hmm.
but
That's right.
fortunately, he was looking more long term. And so thank goodness he did that. Because
Right.
I've seen examples of that not happening. And then I'm sitting with the surviving spouse, and she's going, now what do I do? And like, there's not a whole lot that I can do to help her. And so, yeah, so that was a very good thing that he did. That was a very loving thing he did for you.
Yep. Don't make me cry again.
Today was not about making Shelby cry.
Well, I have to admit that I don't like to think about money, but I know I have to. And I have been very good at it, but I've also been very bad at it at times too. Do you suggest that when should someone get involved in investments?
Well, they're almost forced to. I remember the whole divorce process took about 2 years. It was really awful. And I remember when there was this account that was transferred to me. Well, you have to do something about it. And I put it in something, and the end result was the whole thing was gone eventually. And but you know, it's not going to be a single day that things are going to happen. You're going to be going through a process for quite some time, right? It is, that is just the way it's going to be. So I guess if you're receiving a bucket of money that you don't know what to do with, just put it in a savings account at the bank. Just put it in a money market account at the bank, because the last thing you want to do is lose it. Because I know what it felt like when I lost the money that I had received. And I had also gotten into some real estate, and of course 2008 hit, and it was just a mess. So if you're like in a position where you are receiving some money you don't know what to do with, put it in a safe space like a money market account at the bank, which is not going to give you hardly any interest, but at least it's safe. You want to save your principal and just leave it there until you're more settled and you have some clarity on how you want to move forward.
So how did you decide that you wanted to be a financial planner then?
Well, it's really funny because here I am, you know, going through this ridiculous divorce, and I've got the 3 daughters, and all 4 of us are just in a huge funk. And I got invited out to lunch to a couple of different investment companies. And I had not done investments before that. And the thing that was said to me was, you should look at going into financial services because you'd really be good at it. And I was so surprised. And I actually researched women in financial services for probably a year. And so all of that was all part of redefining who I was. Now, I've always been something of a businesswoman. I've done marketing programs, and I've done things my adult life, but not, you know, just it was different. And I looked at this and I finally said, okay, I've got to do something. And so I started down that path, and now here I am 25 years later. So, but it's been quite a journey, and, you know, all the ups and downs, but I'm just hoping that this book can, and, you know, I'm offering like a 30-minute Zoom call. There's information that will actually be on my website, on the podcast website, and things about how to set up a Calendly link. And I'm willing to talk to people about, you know, how I might be able to help them. But the book is really distilling a lot of the lessons that I've learned, because I am adamant about trying to help people who are going through this build a new foundation and move forward successfully.
Is this something
maybe I could talk a little bit about what some of the core objectives are in a little bit more depth. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
So basically, I think you've heard me saying what we're doing is we're building a new foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And acquiring life-changing money that you have to manage now for the rest of your life, it brings a whole unique set of challenges and opportunities, right? So the book is aimed at providing that person with the knowledge and tools, especially tools, because like when I think about me, and you kind of said the same thing, I didn't have somebody that I felt like I could go to. And so tools, learning to figure out who you are as a person, and then figuring out what tools are going to help you, you can really start building that solid financial foundation, because that's what you're doing. You're building a whole new little financial foundation for yourself. Because, and it's not just about that. You want to do that so that it supports your dreams, and you've got to have a higher purpose. It can't just be about the money. It has to be, what do you want to do with that money? And you also want it to withstand the test of time. You want to think about, well, what are if you've got children, what is the legacy that you want to help support your kids with? So building a new foundation is one core objective that is very important. Another one is really wrapping your head around navigating personal finance independently. You're responsible now for this part of your life all by yourself. And whether you're recently divorced or you're going through that grieving process, having lost your spouse, managing your finances can really be daunting, right?
Right.
So this book is kind of like a guide that will help demystify the complexities of personal finance. I'm really hoping to offer clarity and confidence to those standing at this crossroads. So the first core objective was building a new foundation. The second core objective is navigating personal finance independently. And the third one, and I've talked about it a little bit, is transforming your relationship with money. And we've, laughed about some of the messages you might have gotten. And it's not your parents' fault. They probably got whatever those crazy messages about money were from their parents.
Right.
So there's a deeper quest for meaning, right? Mm-hmm. You explore what I'm gonna be working with you on is, how do you explore the purpose of your money? How do you explore what your broader purpose in life is? So maybe you're seeing there's like some commonality here, right? Remember how I was talking about you've got to figure out who you are? Well, you're going to figure out what your broader purpose in life is and how your money fits in. How is that money going to support what you want to do with your life? And so, yes, you want to have financial stability. That is absolutely critical. But you're going to be thinking about, how do I achieve emotional and spiritual fulfillment as well? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So another way, and you may think this is funny, but another way I've thought about this is it's like a friend. This book, I'm hoping, can be like a friend reaching out to you at a time when everything in your life seems to have shifted. Mm-hmm. I had a friend, and if she ever listens to this, she'll know who it is, because she called me every day for I don't know how long to see how I was doing. And it was such a wonderful support to have that. So it's not just about managing new numbers in your bank account, but you're basically starting a journey where you get to redefine what money means to you and how it fits into the life that you want to lead from here on out. I'm hoping, does that sound exciting to you, Shelby? I mean, does that Am I crazy? Or, I mean, I'm looking at purpose. I'm looking at, what are it's like, dang it, you don't want to just subsist. You want to thrive. You want to go out and be of service to people.
Right. Right.
So it's really all about asking yourself, what do you really want your life to look like now that you have this money? And having the money, doesn't really matter. It's, how do you want your life to look like? So this book should help you figure out, how does the money fit into the bigger purposes that you have for your life? You want your life to be rich in purpose and rich in happiness, right? I think the Constitution talks about, that we're here to, to learn how to be happy. It's another way to think of it might be that maybe this book could help you think about it as helping you through the maze that comes with suddenly having something that you never had to deal with before. And it's another way might be to think about it as finding your footing when everything seems new and a bit scary and you're dealing with a lot of emotions. Mm-hmm. The book includes strategies for keeping your finances in check. But you should also be thinking about what makes you feel valued and confident in your new situation. It's, and like I said, it doesn't come overnight. It happens over a long period of time. A lot of times books are written because somebody's gone through something, and this is no different. That I want this to give people the tools and the knowledge that they need to make smart choices, not bad choices. Mm-hmm. We don't want anybody to lose money like you and I have lost money. That doesn't help anybody.
Right.
And there's another little thing that I haven't really said, and that is that the money isn't tied to your worth, your self-worth, and how much you have in the bank. So I remember how I characterized my self-esteem as being in the dirt, because I was like, how could he do this to me, and all that kind of thing. So you're laying down, when you go through something like this, you have to start laying down new roots for a future that reflects who you are and what you care about most. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think you're on the right track, right?
It's kind of like, another way to say it is kind of like finding real security. I mean, it's great. Having lost a lot and then having to rebuild my life, it's I know what it feels like to not have financial security. And so it's wonderful to have that peace of mind, right?
Right.
But you also want real security from knowing who you are and what you stand for, not just what's in your wallet. I know that, I know you've talked a little bit about dating again, and I got married again. It's been 15 years since I've been married again to my second husband, who lost his wife to cancer. And man, going through dating things, I've seen a lot of people who were very needy, and you can smell a needy person a long ways away. So maybe the last part of the time that we have together, I want people to think about some big questions. So first question is, what's the purpose of my money? And what does it say about my life's purpose now that I have this money? Let me say it again. what's the purpose of my money? And what does it say about my life's purpose now that I have this money? So what do you want to accomplish? What are some big purpose-driven things that you want to do? What do you want to do? Right? Dig deep and use your money as a lens to examine what you really want out of life. You know, you can let yourself dream about what you would like to accomplish. Okay? So here's another question. How can I manage my investments in a way that makes sense for my future? Let me say it again. How can I manage my investments in a way that makes sense for my future? So, with that kind of a question, I'm looking at what are the practical steps to make sure your money is working for you in a way that aligns with goals and comfort level. So, you want to make sure that whatever you're doing with your money, it's aligning with who you are and what your goals are for the future, right? You've got to think about that. And then another question is, how do I create a legacy that reflects my values and benefits my family for generations? Now, I grew up in Spokane, Washington, and the beginnings of Spokane goes back to the late 1800s. And there was a newspaper family that started, the original newspaper there. That family's name is Paulson, and there's a Paulson Foundation that was started, long, long time ago. There are grandchildren, great-grandchildren today who are benefiting from that foundation, because one of the goals that they had, those original founders of that foundation had, was to support educational opportunities for their family. And so that fund now helps grandchildren going to college. And isn't that wonderful? I mean, so think about, let me say that question again. How do I create a legacy that reflects my values and benefits my family for generations? So that's one example of a family that set up a trust fund, and grandchildren get to apply to the trust fund for money to go to college. And this is 100 years later, right? So it's fantastic that, that's the type of thing, what if you could dream, what would you do that would be something that would be useful for passing on to your children and grandchildren? So it's basically about thinking long term and deciding how you want to be remembered. That gets into, you're going to have to do a new will. You're going to have to make sure that you've got those types of things set up correctly. And the money can help make that vision a reality. So, any thoughts on those questions?
I was reminded, can I say a company that I think I know which one you're talking about, or at least, or is it better not to say it? I was thinking of the Hershey family, but I had heard
Sure.
that they had set up this foundation.
Yeah, I think there's several. There's maybe one of these days I should do that. You've just given me a good idea for a podcast segment.
Oh.
No, there's some great examples out there of families that have lost it all. And then there's other examples that have done good and have created a lasting legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting to see how that all flops out.
Right.
Good decisions and bad decisions.
Case studies, that's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
So what was the most challenging thing that happened to it while you were writing your book?
Probably not being real clear on how I should do it. And also, And so, having the clarity on how to do this again, it's just like putting one foot in front of the other, and which is the same principle as rebuilding your life. But you just have to be determined. And I have I have something here on, this thing. It says desire, decision, determination, and discipline. And a lot of times, if you get discouraged about writing a book, you have that desire, but then you decide, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. And so you have the decision and the determination to do it. And then you just have to have the discipline to just keep going. That all fits with having, going through a big, huge monster change in your life. The whole thing with money is that it can be more than just a financial boon or a financial reality that you have to deal with. It can be a catalyst for building a life that's rich in every sense of the word. And another thing about writing a book, I went through have you ever heard of imposter syndrome?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Where you're like, I'm not worthy to do this. Who am I? What do I know?
Yeah. My writing
that
is
sort of thing. I've gone through that. And I was at a training, financial advisor training, and I said something like that to the gal that was training, who's this fabulous trainer out of Vancouver, BC. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Who am I to do this? And she said, why not you? And I went, oh, yeah, why not me? So the challenges of having to rebuild your life, if you allow yourself to get excited about, well, what do I really want my life to look like now? You can start building a foundation for a future that's filled with purpose and security and fulfillment. So like me, you and me meeting, we met at a workshop. And so, there's purpose in a lot of things that happen to us in life. And here we are doing podcasts and writing books and all this stuff. And those types of activities we're getting out into the community and we're sharing. And you don't know who you're going to be able to help. You just go out and help. And you don't know how it's all going to turn out. You don't know who you might affect.
Right. And as long as you're helping one person out there.
You don't know. So you just go out and you just do the best you can, put one foot in front of the other, and just keep going.
Right.
Right, Shelby?
I used to sing solos occasionally. I was most often playing the accompaniment for other singers, but I would got that very statement. I would think, okay, if I just touch one person out there with my song and it means something to them, then it's worth doing. So
that's right.
It helped me to not be so scared.
Right. And you don't know who that one person might be that might touch somebody else. You just don't know.
Right.
So you just do it with a good heart and you just move forward and just think about how you can serve and how you can help.
That's right. And it was really funny when Facebook first came out. I got this I knew about Facebook and got on it, and I was very careful. I was kind of scared of what I should say and not say. And I had this name pop up, and it just kind of, I know somebody with this name, and it finally kind of gelled with another person, and finally I didn't delete it, which I could have, and then I would have missed the whole opportunity. But what she was thanking me for teaching her piano lessons back when she was a child, because she was now grandma and she was teaching her granddaughter to play the piano.
Oh, wow.
And she was telling me, what her granddaughter had done, and I just almost cried. I almost deleted that. So you never know.
You don't.
You just
You
don't
don't.
know. Right. But anyway, so all
Yeah.
right, well, we're getting close to the end here. And do you have any other things that you haven't said yet? Oh yeah, where can we buy your book?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
It's called Money, Mindset, and the Suddenly Single, the ultimate guide for divorcees and widows. And so I think that the best way to get the information is going to be to go to, your podcast website. And then also you can look up my podcast website, which is askgoodquestionspodcast.com. And there'll be the link for the book there.
And you're doing that live every Wednesday at 6:00?
Live every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm actually Mountain Time, so that's going to be 4 p.m. Mountain, but it's 6 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays is when my podcast happens.
Okay, well, I'm got to get that on my calendar.
And speaking of, you talked about how you got scammed. I'm actually doing a cybersecurity podcast that is going to air on Christmas Day. It's going to air.
Oh, is it? Okay. How did you get involved with that?
It's just, it's just part of the financial services. It's just, again, things that I needed to learn. And I see clients and friends and family who get hit with all kinds of things. And so it was a timely thing to share what I've learned about that.
Have you heard about Operation Shamrock? That's a big group now. Well, it started just a couple years ago to fight this whole problem. And it has financial planners, bank executives, police officers, because, they just go, I'm sorry it happened to you, but there's nothing we can do. Well, now they're starting to realize that this is a real problem that needs to be solved, handled differently than what has been in the past. So keep your eyes open for that. And when is that cybersecurity next week? Oh, Christmas
It's
Day.
actually going to be, next week on Christmas Day.
At your time. At the 6:00 Eastern or 4:00?
6:00 Eastern.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Very good. I really appreciate you coming back, and I really wish you congratulations and hope that your podcast I know it's going to be wonderful. And
well, it was fun being here today with you.
And January 8th is coming up really quick.
I know. That'll be fun. We'll have to start thinking about that.
Yep, I guess I'll have to start thinking about my book and what I like to talk about there. But thank you very much. I want to thank audience for being here and sticking with us. And I hope that this information has been very helpful to all of it, to you, or at least to one person anyway.
That's right.
As we run along, and as Bonita said, she's willing to give 30-minute Zoom call if you have a personal question that you would like to ask her. So I'm going to say goodbye, and thanks again for coming. And thank you again, Bonita, for being here.
Okay.
Can I say Merry Christmas? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
You too. You too. Bye now.